under huge pressure.
Dunne. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Could I welcome my right honourable friend for coming to the House today to make this statement, and in particular to welcome the improvements to the compensation arrangements that he's announced. I'm aware that the NFU Poultry Board were visiting the department last week and trying to impress upon him and his officials that paying farmers who've lost birds through culling, but not paying compensation for birds who've died through catching the avian flu, has meant that it's been very difficult to provide an adequate compensation to poultry farmers whose livelihoods are being devastated by the impact of this disease, many of whom are in South Shropshire in my constituency. So could I urge him to say whatever else he can in relation to compensation applying to birds that have died already prior to boat notification by the vets? Secondly, could he also comment on the position for flexibility in labelling free-range eggs being sold from layers where the housing requirements need some flexibility to allow free-range for certificated flocks to continue? And finally, could I ask him just on the vaccine development, which I think is very welcome, could he bring to bear to avian flu vaccines the same kind of urgency which applied to human vaccines for COVID, and engage with retailers in this country to ensure that they're willing to supply vaccinated meat as soon as possible?
Well, I thank my honourable friend for his three questions, and can I start by saying on the compensation scheme we have moved that date as early as is legally possible to try and assist those farmers with the challenge that they face. He mentioned the labelling of free-range eggs. Currently, the law allows us for 16 weeks time period, if you like, from the second that birds are housed to when they can no longer be called free-range eggs, for example. So we're a while before we get to the end of that 16-week period. But at the end of that period, those eggs would have to be labelled as barn-reared. There is the facility to do that just with a simple label to say that these eggs are now barn-reared rather than free-range. And I think vaccines, as with COVID, vaccination will be the route out of this problem. But we need our best scientists to be concentrated on how to develop that vaccine to make sure it's effective. We need to work with our colleagues across the European Union so that those birds that are exported for food can accept those products into their marketplace, as well as keeping conversations open with retailers to make sure that they're happy as well.
Tim Farron.
Deputy Speaker, 21 years on since foot and mouth disease devastated